Hey, it's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the RockyMounts MonoRail Hitch Bike Rack and how it fits on a 2021 Chrysler Pacifica. Just going to install directly into the hitch receiver, and it's going to hold your bikes primarily by this front wheel hook. It's a 2-bike platform style bike rack capable of supporting 2 bikes up to 60 pounds each, and because it doesn't make any frame contact, if you do want to get your carbon frame bikes on here, or maybe you just have a really nice paint job and you don't want either of those getting damaged while you're driving, this is a really great option for you. So let's check out a little bit about how it works. One thing we can do is tilt the rack away with the bikes loaded up. So I'll show that first. You're going to come down here below the tray, pull this blue lever, and it's a pretty good resistance to it, so you don't have to do it completely by yourself. But I will say if you have a bike down there at the bottom, I could see that getting in the way a little bit, but it does tilt aggressively enough for us to open up the hatch, and it barely clears our 29-inch handlebars, but it does clear, and we now have plenty of room back here if we want to sit down, change our shoes in between rides, or grab water, helmets, shoes, anything we might need for that ride. And like I mentioned, it does come a little bit close, but once it closes, we can come down here holding the actual rack itself, tilt it back up, we'll hear it click into place, and now we can get our bike removed. Start back here with the strap on the back tire. Everything's color coordinated so you know what to release, in this case being that blue button up at the front. There's another blue button. You can press on the wheel hook, pull it up, push it out, and now we get our bike up and away. Put the bike out of the way as I put this strap back in place. I just wanted to point out that this rear cradle does have the ability to pivot to accommodate a wheelbase of up to 48 inches. We can move up to the front cradle now. You can see that it is wide enough to support an up to 5-inch tire width, and it has a couple of different grooves for your road tires as well. And it folds down to be a little bit more compact and get out of the way. And we can move the center hook out of the way as well. And now I might just slide it down so that it's not making any contact with the back of our cradle. We can get some measurements to see what it's like to live with the rack in this position. I'll measure from the bumper to the furthest point back on our rack. In this case, that's going to be about 31.5 inches. So it sticks out a little bit, but it's still pretty compact overall. As far as ground clearance goes, I'll measure from the ground to this blue lever, just the closest point to the ground as far back as we can go. That's going to be about 14.5 inches, so there is a nice rise in the rack overall, and I won't be super worried about anything as far as bottoming out. If we want to save a little bit of space, we can do that using that same blue lever that we used before to tilt it down. We can fold it up, you'll hear it click into place, and we get a new measurement to see what it's like to live with the rack in this position. So now from the bumper to the furthest point back, coming in at just under a foot, so just under 12 inches. Definitely save a ton of space. It sits a little bit close, I will say. The closest point might be to this cradle here. You have about 1.5 inches. Rocky Mounts is really solidly built, and it doesn't do a whole lot of moving, so I'm not going to be worried about it making any contact or damaging my vehicle. If you wanted to live with the rack in this position, we can take a closer look at what it would cover up. So it sits low enough that it doesn't cover up a ton of your license plate. It's still pretty much fully visible. Your taillights, it also sits below. Your backup camera is in the direct middle, and this is definitely going to be visible, but you should be able to have at least half of the top of your vision to be clear, as well as we can see it doesn't come anywhere near our rear window. As you can see here, before we move down to the shank, there is this post for you to attach your cable locks to. It's not integrated, but you can attach your cable lock there. And then we could talk about the actual shank. It is a 2-inch shank that fits into our 2-inch receiver. It's held in place by this anti-rattle bolt and the lock at the end, which is going to be key to your cable lock that is going to be used at that post that we just talked about. Here we are on our test course. As we hit the alternating bumps, you can see what it would be like to hit a pothole on the road. Our solid speed bumps simulate pulling in and out of a driveway or hitting a speed bump in a parking lot. We use the slalom portion of our course to simulate the side-to-side movement, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Overall, the RockyMounts MonoRail is probably one of my favorite value options that we offer. I really love that it gets that weight capacity, that 5-inch tire size right out of the gate, as well as the ability to tilt and fold it just to make it work for you. So this was just a look at that Rocky Mounts monorail and how it fits on our 2021 Chrysler Pacifica.